making history at CECC. And there it is! Both platforms online, and Dip will take it home.
What a game.
Take a victory lap, take a bow, and take the headsets off and start to yell.
Welcome in, everybody, to another exciting night of some eSports U action. Thank you for being here with us on a Friday night as we have the ECAC Super Elite Week 3, Brooklyn College Maroon at 1-1, taking on Ohio Northern University, who's sitting at 0-1. My name is Yanni. I'm joined here by Sofchan. Soph, how are you today? What is going on? You're looking way more moisturized than I was earlier, I'll tell you that much.
It's all the makeup. It's all the makeup. Because remember, you told me that you put your moisturizer before you put your makeup. So that's why it's looking glowing on my hand. I'm looking good. I'm feeling good. And I am very excited about today, especially because it's Super Elite Day, as you mentioned. And teams really want to get things going because playoffs is only the top 4.
Yeah. Super Elite, super cool league. New this year, top 8 teams from last year's top league now into Super Elite League. Really cool amount of teams, right? And how good they are. Weber State's in here. GW Revolutionary is in here. Fisher College is in here. Obviously, the aforementioned Brooklyn Maroon and ONU Ohio Northern. St. Clair Academy is in here. University of Albany, Pace, League of Legends as well. A lot of really, really good teams here. So you get a lot of really good quality games. And I'm expecting a pretty quality game here tonight between these two teams because Brooklyn College has been rolling pretty nicely, especially in CLAW play. They're 2-0 right now. So any win that they can get to just kind of build their momentum of them being a strong team is going to help out. But this Ohio Northern team is no slouch.
Oh, absolutely not. And you mentioned that for Brooklyn here on ECAC. Are they 1-1, correct? So yeah, they won 2-0 against St. Clair's Academy. So I think that's a great feat considering how steady the program is there at St. Clair's. And I am looking at the Ohio Northern University, and we know that they have played one match. We don't know the result or if the match has been postponed for the other. So they are standing below on the lead as maybe they would be if we knew those results. So whenever we have those in, we're going to have a much more reliable prediction on what is going on. But draft is on the screen, Yanni. Let's get to it.
Yeah, this should be a pretty interesting draft because these mid laners, Creature and Sam, for each side, Creature on the side of Ohio Northern, Sam obviously on the side of Brooklyn, they play very similar champions. They have actually played nothing but control mages in every match that I could find that has to do with CLAW, that has to do with various other, collegiate leagues and everything like that. It's been Oriana, it's been Syndra, it's been Lysandra. So I'm expecting to see those kind of champions crop up, and the top laners, they can play some carries, they can play some tanks. So that's why you're already seeing a champion like Fiora getting taken off the board.
Oh yeah, and I wouldn't be surprised to see a Cassante coming through as well as a Van because we know how strong it is at the moment. I know, it's okay. And well, with what you said to the mid laners, I hope that we don't see any AD static LeBlanc today because it works, but it's not my favorite. I always say that on every broadcast. But now they're going for a more specific ban on the side of Ohio Northern, taking out a Shaco. Of course, definitely going to be aimed at Whelp. But I don't know how I feel about that because usually Shakos in pro play, they get to be more of a one trick.
Yeah, and it's that weird level of play, right? Where your one trick champions can still absolutely roll a game, right? So you just got to make sure that, listen, we don't want to deal with any Shaco. Everything's all right. Just anything but that. Other strong bans getting taken away. Jarvan, obviously, is just always around, always a reliable jungler. But Lilia also getting taken off the board. And meanwhile, you can see the hover and the lock in here for Rakan. Princeton has played so many games of Rakan so far this season in team play and has been incredibly successful on it. I'm actually quite surprised that Ohio Northern didn't ban it away.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's one of those things you are more concerned with other champions and you feel like you can deny or you have practiced enough to try to counter those picks. Now Ohio locking in instantly a Thresh, potentially getting a Caitlyn afterwards. I think it's a steady combo. You have range, you have good setup for your traps, especially if you had good communication there with your support and you guarantee that the flays are going to get people onto your traps and not away from it. Wink wink solo queue. And I think that this is going to work out really well for Ohio.
As a Thresh player, I have definitely flayed in the wrong direction. As a Caitlyn player as well, I have definitely gotten mad when somebody has played the wrong direction.
I was the Caitlyn.
So it's sometimes it just is what it is. But I like what Brooklyn is doing here. They're going to pair up again another incredibly strong combo, Rakan Xayah. Where one goes, you almost always have to have the other. Although Rakan has been cheating on Xayah a little bit with a couple of other really strong picks, but here we are going to see Xayah get locked in. And of course, what a surprise! We have Oriana selected for. Wait a minute. You see what's hovered on the other side?
I do. What a surprise. Who would have thought? It's a Syndra. It's locked in. And that having the mid lane for both of the teams. Wow. Pure shock.
There's nothing wrong with the picks. I'm not trying to be like...
absolutely not. They are so good.
Oh my god, I can't believe they're picking these champions. It's just that, we knew that these players coming in were going to play control mages.
Yeah, and that's what they're doing. To be fair, I think if we were to get away from Oriana or Syndra, if it was picked later in the game, or even thinking about one of the teams getting it out, I would wager maybe an Azir coming through, but they're just going in with the classics. They're going in with the comfort picks for themselves. For Brooklyn, they're taking out the Zac that we saw a little bit on LCS, correct, in top lane. And on the other side, also aimed at the top lane. You have the Camille plus the Gwen focused there on Phil. I think we're leaving. Still the Cassante open. There are a couple of choices. You have the Olaf. Things can work out still.
That Zac ban actually surprises me. Now, Cherry is known for playing tank supportive junglers, Rel, think Maokai, but Hwalp is known for playing Zac. So it's pretty interesting. I think they have a beat on like, hey, you know, Cherry might pick this away. We want to go in a different direction, right? We want to go with something else. And of course, this is where you're going to see the Maokai at the very least get hovered, see if they end up going for it, and they do. So, you know what? When your jungler is willing to just play dog champs like that, me and my buddies call them dog champs. Everybody calls them dog champs. They go and they do everything for the team. It's a great way to build your team around a player, right?
Oh, yeah. At the same time, Brooklyn getting that hover and lock in on the Nocturne really feels like a team that wants to go for team fights, be aggressive, especially when you have that level. Before that, the Nocturne is going to be a little more reserved, getting that power farm, the clear in the jungle, and an Udyr, which most likely go on the top lane. I don't think there's anywhere else that they could be going. And we know how great it is nowadays, especially doing proxy. It's a little disgusting.
Yeah, the pretty interesting thing here is it allows Ohio Northern to play something that's not a tank. Because Udyr absolutely just does so well against tanks. Because you can't do anything against them. But, you know, Wiederum is somebody who is known for playing carry champion. So I am very interested to see how a non-tank champion like a Gangplank, who's got obviously tons of damage as we all know, and also can get some first right gold out if he wants to, will go toe-to-toe against an Udyr. And if Udyr will be able to kind of do his thing, you know, just drop whatever he wants to do, go, you know, dirty farm the waves in between turrets, and then just be a general nuisance the rest of the game.
I think that's the way. That's exactly how you've read my mind, Yanni, because how do you deal against the Gangplank when you're not going to be shredding out, you're not going to be pushing out the lane as much as you could, because with the barrels, the Gangplank can control the waves super effectively, and the Udyr just really thrives in having a good shadow from the jungler, in this case, a real shadow, and they guarantee that they're going to have such great control over that lane that you don't even need to be fronting against your enemy top laner. Just get that wave nice and smooth. But on the other sides of the map, we would be expecting quite a lot of action. We know the Thresh wants to go in, but at the same time, both sides have those junglers that heavily rely on getting the level 6 to be super effective on those rotations.
Yeah, and you know, you mentioned the Thresh, and this Thresh is going to be very valuable for this composition. If Thresh is your main source of engage, it's a little bit of a rough time, right? However, he's the secondary source of engage, right? Yeah. Behind this Maokai. So as long as Maokai is able to land a couple of roots down on people, then all of a sudden this Thresh gets so much value on that front. But on the other front as well, if they're getting engaged on, because you take a look at BC's team composition, you know, they're definitely willing to engage. Being able to flay their Rakan is pretty huge. Just the one thing that the Thresh won't really be able to defend is Brooklyn College Maroon's combination of Nocturne and Orianna. Oh, yeah. It's got such a strong level 6, but I just don't see people pull it off half the time.
Yes, so I see the likes of the Orianna alongside a Jarvan as well, that, you know, just you see the composition, you see the Wombo Combo, but it just doesn't connect half of the time. I don't understand, but we hope for BC's sake that they can pull it off, because of course, if you have not just on the Nocturne, but if you have it on the Rakan and the Thresh is a little bit out of position, you can go in, get that grand entrance, and guarantee that all of them are going to be picked in on that shockwave. But on the other hand, you have ONU with so much range, you have the 90 caliber net, you guarantee a little bit of safety, and considering the Thresh is not the main source of engage, as you said, Yanni, we could have the Thresh being a little more protective on the ADC. I think it kind of reminded me of the switch in roles that we have nowadays when we have Kalista and Renata Glass. Instead of thinking of, a Kalista gets the ulti to throw in the support. No, you're getting your ulti to take your support out of danger. It feels what is the case for the Thresh is going to be a little more defensive, trying to set up things for the Caitlyn, for the Syndra, while Scatter of the Weak and Nature's Grasp can really do the work.
Yeah, and if Tango is playing that defensive role for Reaper here, that also allows Reaper to kind of play around with summoner spell choice here, right?
Oh,
So
yeah.
you've got a Charm out of Rakan, you've got a Root out of Zaya. You should almost never get rooted by the Zaya unless, you let the Zaya get too close to you. Obviously, you can get stunned by Udyr and the Fear by Nocturne, but because these are things that are very hard to prevent, I don't know if Cleanse would be the right move. I actually think Ghost would be really good. So if you've got Ghost plus this Thresh protecting you, it could be a really, really rough time. I also like this Exhaust choice here, as you can now see it on your screen as we are into game. Brooklyn College Maroon versus Ohio Northern University. Brooklyn College on your blue side, Ohio Northern on the red side. So tell me a little bit about your thoughts on this choice of summoner from this Caitlyn.
Oh, I think the exhaust makes a lot of sense when you are very afraid of the Nocturne. I think that is something that I would do because personally, I think it's just so powerful and panicky when I'm playing against it. So it's save the exhaust with the ghost. Of course, you have to rely on your ability of dodging fast enough and trying to get into the backline fast enough when you're trying to get away from a shockwave or that entrance coming from Princeton on the Rakan. So it's just more reliable. You negate the damage, and that's just how it goes. I like it.
Yeah, it's almost a faux pas to take exhaust on Caitlyn because you should never be that close. And
yeah, for sure.
Phil may find himself in trouble, but Weirderum as well has to flash away. Phil is just going under the turret and is going to die. What just happened? So
I do not know. I have no clue. I was really just waiting for Udyr to flash, but Phil was like, okay, I'm walking. And I look at some of the spells. Oh, that's why they're not flashing. They don't have it. They're running Ghost and TP. And now because of how this happened, you have actually Phil walking to lane, getting there a little bit later. So not getting most of the early pressure that the Udyr could want to have. But then Winderum going back with the TP, especially because they didn't get knocked down. They don't have none of those summoner spells, but I think is enough if you want to have the control, especially when you're ranged.
Yeah, the gold efficient choice actually, because giving away an assist there is also quite a bit of gold. And you can see just running down this gangplank now. Listen, it looked like he was going to get the kill. If that pesky tower wasn't there, then Phil was going to get his fill.
Oh, those pesky kids. Oh, and look at Cherry.
Yep, Cherry making a wise move heading up to the top lane here. Phil is almost assuredly going to die. It's just a matter of if Weirderum can get close enough to get the kill. They're kind of staying away a little bit. Wait a minute. They don't have as much damage as I thought. Cherry is going to die here. Phil is just 2v1ing, and he's going to kill Weirderum too.
No way!
Disaster for the side of Ohio Northern. What is going on up there?
Oh, that is a whole different game. They're not playing League of Legends. They're playing a 1v2. What happened there, Yanni? I think the fact that Phil came out so well, getting the shield, guaranteeing that Winderum wasn't going to get that hit, as you were saying, as long as they get close, you could have the kill go to up laner, which would be the best choice instead of having it on Cherry. But then maybe they hesitated and Udyr just kited them out. That was stupid.
Cue the Benny Hill music, But this is very, very good, obviously, for Brooklyn College. Not just for Phil, but Whalp gets to just do whatever he wants. You see him on the top side, just making sure that he's taking Cherry's jungle away. And Whalp, the faster you can hit level 6 with no pressure, the better. Cherry wants to come in for round 2, this time on the mid lane, but Whalp is here. Cherry could be in a bad spot. They layer the CC onto Whalp. Whalp gonna get that fear off. Do they have enough damage to be able to take down Cherry? And they chop down the cherry tree. That's a kill over to the Nocturne.
Oh, look at that. Cherry picking. Looking super good for Brooklyn College in this early game. And I really like that. It was a counter that came back there. And it was well executed. Cherry was trying to be proactive as they were in the top lane. So converting to the was the next best step. Now Hop transitioning here to the bot side. They are clearing out that Scuttle Crab. And there was a good engage that Tango tried to get, but didn't quite land those engages. And now Hop on top of a ward is just going to clear out the jungle.
Yeah, it's kind of weird that Tango is walking up after they spotted him out. Pull goes in, but look at that damage that's done to this Thresh. He's going to burn away the shield, the flash, and Ming is able to clean up the kill. However, it's a trade back for Reaper.
Yeah, 1-for-1 now coming from both sides, and both of them going to the ADCs. So that's not bad, I would say. And that actually reminds me, because it was a flash for flash as well, not just the kills. Oh, look at them. Phil.
It would be very risky, especially now that he spotted out
For
Cherry.
sure.
But I thought for
yeah.
a second that Phil was just going to be like, you know what? I don't really care that Cherry's up here.
Yeah. They definitely had a boost in confidence at that gank just previously, so it makes sense, but I'm glad that he weren't like super overextending at this point. You have your power spikes as a new there, but you have to respect how the enemy is going to be leveling up. So now, as I was saying, if I'm not mistaken, although there was the kill here in the mid lane, we also saw a flash being wasted by Sam. So this could be a point where Cherry could take an advantage to come here in the mid lane, because Sam didn't get the kill and ended up flashing. And now Hop allied a rotation with Princeton here is going to guarantee the first Void Grub of the game.
Yeah, you can see Phil up here with Weirderum. Weirderum is in a lot of trouble. He is forced to flash, but this time around, Phil is going to dive the turret and walk away with a kill. Very much unlike that level 1.
Yeah, looking much stronger now. 3-1-0, and Brooklyn College Maroon with 3 Void Grubs on their pocket. We also had such a great rotation coming from Princeton as well to guarantee that if anything were to happen in regards to defending or just contesting from Cherry, it wasn't going to come to fruition. They didn't even attempt it. But speaking of, Cherry is sitting on top of a ward, so BC is okay. They're safe. They're safe.
Yeah, they knew that was coming. They spotted out that Hex Flash pretty easily. With the control that Ohio Northern kind of has of the spot lane, I was a little surprised that they didn't immediately go to try to trade the Dragon after the Void Grubs. So that means that Cherry, during that time that Hwalp had nothing, was just going and farming the Grubs, Cherry had opportunities to do things and just didn't really try to make an impactful play, and that's going to be pretty rough because you have to do something with that time, right?
Oh yeah, and you as well, because then any CS behind compared that to Walp, and if you can trade objective, you should. But now bot lane again.
This is a nice hook that lands onto Princeton. He is going to use his W to get away, and everybody's okay. Everybody is nice and alive and hanging in. Walp is on his way. He's not on vision right now, so this is a perfect position. And with the map changes, he's going to be able to get there, but the engagement lands on Ming first, and Ming gets blown up before Hwalp can join the fight. Princeton getting pretty low, put the exhaust down onto the Nocturne. Nocturne trying to fear the Reaper, but Reaper puts some distance in between them. The hook does not land on the right target, and Reaper gets bursted out because Hwalp is just too damn strong.
Oh wow, so effectively it was going to be a 3-for-2, a 3 versus 2, but then Windrum had that cannon barrage helping them in the bot lane that really allowed them to get it, but there's the darkness coming through, Yanni.
Yeah, I don't know if Hwalp has enough damage though. He runs out of mana, burned the rest of his mana for the paranoia, and then when he got there he's like, oh, I can't do anything.
Hold on. I do have Lethal Temple, but then I think I've ran out of time.
Not so lethal temple, I guess, right?
I guess so. And now we're getting to a stage where just 8 minutes into the game, this is very early. We saw so much action. Brooklyn College on that good double the kills lead, 6-3, getting some of that gold accumulated, especially with the Void Grubs that they had gotten in the first few minutes, while also guaranteeing that Nocturne is still remaining ahead on CS. You had mid lane Sam also getting many of those platings. On the other lanes, we don't really see much of a plating presence from either side. It to be ONU actually on this bottom because of the Caitlyn that they could try to get something out of it.
Yeah, and I have to give some credit to Ming and Princeton. Aside from the tomfoolery that has occurred in the bottom lane, they actually played it pretty well despite being down in CS and obviously now down in kills. But, you know, if you've got such a powerful laner like Caitlyn, and as I am going on about that, Phil is just going on about running down Weirderum. He is going to dive the turret one more time. He does have to burn the ghost, but he will be just fine.
Oh, did you see the amount of shield that had? Oh, okay, trying to flash away from the Unleash power.
Oh my god, there's fighting going on everywhere, so a couple of low bot laners here. Tango trying to land the hook. He lands it onto the Rakan. Rakan going to be able to W away out of range.
Good dodge. If it had hit the Xayah, that would have been a terrible moment for BC's bot lane. But now there's Cherry, because of the pressure they have here, and the hack stack flash forward actually from Tango in the bot side, trying to do even more. But at this point, at least Ming still has that flash, so if anything were to happen, they would still be safe. They have Featherstorm, so it's not that good of an idea to try and dive them. On the other sides of the map, we have that Udyr, Proxy, the Nocturne trying to stack on the 6 Void Grubs, while ONU is focusing on the first Drake of the game.
Yeah, and, you know, that's why you had to try to get that first Drake earlier, because, you know, Sam just had a TP mid lane, but if they weren't on this dragon, you know, Creature could have moved up, Cherry and Tango could have moved up to try to stop Wall. And meanwhile, the bottom lane, Reaper was left all alone, forced a flash, but a flash for flash means that Ming is going to clean up on the kill, as 6 grubs have been secured for Brooklyn College, and I'm sure Phil is very happy about that.
I was just gonna mention, Phil is going to take so much good use out of those grubs. Now Sam facing both of them here in the mid lane. On ONU, actually going for a shockwave, and they have enough damage. Look at that paranoia cancelled, Yanni.
Yeah, it just didn't matter. Sam said, hey, listen, you didn't trust me. I had that all along. You know, Oriana's auto attacks, because of her passive, they just got that spice. They're like that McDonald's Sprite. Very, very spicy.
Oh, yeah. I guess so. I always love that when I'm playing Oriana. It adds so much to a mage that in the early game just can't hit anything on auto attacks anyway. But now we have as well the gold numbers on the board, and pretty much everywhere is ahead on the side of Brooklyn College. Although ONU has tried to steadfastly control this bot lane, it's the only place, I would say, that they are a little bit ahead compared to Brooklyn College. So ONU could heavily rely on the Caitlyn going into the mid to late game, especially because you already have that Storm Razor. Things could get very nice, but I don't see Brooklyn College really getting any of the pressure away, especially now that they have 6 grubs.
Yeah, and one of the bigger problems is that, you know, Caitlyn had a larger lead on Ming, but lost that lead when they went to the dragon and Reaper got 2v1'd, right? That was the only spot that you had such a sizable lead, right? That it's like, okay, this is who we can hang our hat on. And now with that lead being shrunken to half of what it was and the rest of the map starting to expand, that's why you see a 3,000 gold lead right now for Brooklyn College. They're playing like a well-oiled machine. Engage down to the bot lane, big double charm out, and Reaper's got nowhere to go. Exhaust ain't gonna help you there. And Gangplank is going to drop his ultimate, and here come the roots out of Cherry, but I actually think that Ming and Princeton might be able to get the job done. That Ignite is down on the Ming, and so is the Maokai. They are able to take down the AD carry of Brooklyn College.
Yeah, and it's now a bot lane for Brooklyn College that has no summoner spells, ended up giving away that ADC that, of course, wanted to have full control over farm. Oh, but there's Warp. They're going to get a kill here on the Thresh very, very easily. And I think that's one side of the rotation that we see from Brooklyn College that has been very effective, right?
Yeah, Wallp has been pretty much everywhere. He's used his ultimate well. And Sam in the 1v1 gets it done again. And Brooklyn College is rolling right now.
Yeah, they are. Gosh, I'm looking at the lead now for Wallp. It was a 20 CS ahead. Now we're over 30 CS ahead. And they're clearing out the jungle so fast. Like it's nobody's business. 300, 300 gold. And they can get any sort of here for the next Drake to spawn in 2 minutes. There is no vision. Reaper is alone. Thresh is just coming out. But if anything were to happen, I think BC would have a great shot.
Yeah, and, you know, I like the way that Brooklyn College is playing right now, especially because Tentacle Coach has been pretty outspoken about how his team has performed, and not more so on his team, but he shoulders a lot of the blame on himself. And he said last week that they finally started cleaning up a lot of their mistakes and that everybody is now starting to get on the same page. You can see that happen here, right? It's just everybody knows exactly what they want to do. The bot lane is against an oppressive AD carry, and they're still doing pretty well, even after seeing some jungle attention. I'm really impressed with what they're putting together in Game 1.
I agree, Yanni. We see here at the moment a mid and bot swap as well. They have so much for the control of this Herald. You have one extra teammate, of course, because the Oriana is bot, and because she's already so strong. and the potential of really facing two people, that it's fine. You have range enough to clear the wave, you have damage enough to clear the wave, especially without Ludens, and half of the next item already completed, most likely going to be that Seraph's Embrace. So if we think about it, it's what was missing for Brooklyn is finally connecting, just being on the same page. Oh,
Syndra is gonna die. Yeah, they just engaged on the 2v1, and guess what? That's why you need to move your bot lane up, because of this objective on the top side. Meanwhile, Sam dying on the bottom side, and the turret is going to go to Ohio Northern. You know, both of those things shouldn't have happened, but they did anyway, to be quite honest.
You're right. Yeah, I think the rotation was correct. I don't think the rotation should have gone wrong for either side. At the end of the day, both teams got the first, not the first break, but the first tier 1s of the game taken down. Oh, no, don't mind me. It was top lane who took it. Phil, of course, with that big lead. They had a good guarantee there very easily. And right now, Yanni, on 15 minutes, instead of us having a third Drake of the game spawning, we are on the second Drake. And we're trying to get some vision on both sides. It's ONU who's getting there. Oh, and Princeton would have to dash away.
Except he did not see that hook coming, and Princeton is going to die. He burns his flash for it, too. So Ohio Northern, they do have a man advantage right now. It is a 5v4. But Brooklyn College not looking like they're all on the same page. Phil on one side, Paranoia out. Sam, though, in a good position for a three-man shockwave. And they are going to rip apart Ohio Northern. It's a triple kill for Phil. Phil not quite getting the quadra, but Brooklyn College are going to take the Drake after smacking him in the mouth.
Yanni, we wanted to see the Nocturne Oriana combo, and they did it. First time we had a full team composition. The team fight delivers for Brooklyn. That's the scatter of the week. It doesn't quite land on Phil. He can escape. But wow, that was so executed. It's not nice to see it actually working on Whop.
Yeah, Creature is in a bad way. He dropped his ultimate on Phil and didn't do any damage.
At all. It just tanked everything, and the TP coming back from Widram, actually. Can't quite catch anyone. If I'm not mistaken, it was a fast reset, right? Because of the Herald on Nocturne. Gosh, speaking of, 5-0-3, Yanni. This is a jungler that really is, and has been from the very first moment of the game, the glue for Brooklyn College. So if there was anything to be ironed out on mistakes here and there, they really worked on it, and I think Whop is doing an amazing job in translating not just pressure, but gold to everyone in that team.
Yeah, up 40 CS individually, has the Hexblade, has the Eclipse. Might be able to respond here in the mid lane as they're trying to make a play. They have caught out Ming. Ming does have flash and ult available. And here comes the Paranoia onto the back line. They're able to get one kill into Weirdum. And now the Syndra teleport comes in. Scatter of the Week is there, but everybody on Ohio Northern is in full retreat. The roots come out, but Cherry says, guys, go! Leave! I'll go down with the ship.
Oh no, leave me to die! And there's another hook that doesn't land in the shockwave!
Nice shockwave! Tango is low, everybody is low, and Rift Herald is up and hasn't even gotten its first charge off yet. And here it comes. Shelly gonna come in, and there's Twitch chat. The entirety of Twitch chat on the side of Brooklyn College as they look for the middle inhibitor.
And that is so quick as well. It's an 18-minute inhibitor, and this Herald could even try to reach the next one. I don't think it's going to. Is it?
Oh yeah, it is. This thing doesn't take as much damage as it used to, so.
You're so right, yeah. Oh my god. Well, 18 minutes in the game. Brooklyn College has not only opened up absolutely wide the mid lane on NU, they also taken 50% of HP there on that tower on the Nexus, but now ONU trying to reconquer some of that presence on the jungle.
And here we go, they're taking an odd man fight. It's very good. Whop is very low. Ace in the hole on the Phil, but it's not going to be enough to get the kill. Paranoia is going to cut the vision, and Sam is here, but won't be able to pull the trigger. That shockwave wasn't quite up, but that's very, very good for Brooklyn College.
I love that. It's so important to see that players can utilize their champions not exactly as they were meant to. We've seen Whop use Paranoia, go in the back line, destroy a squishy, and that's what you from a Nocturne. But using Paranoia just to cut out the lights, gosh, it's good and it's worth it. Oh, but it lands and it forces out a cleanse.
Yep, and that cleanse is going to be missing it for sure, but here comes a big engagement. Double charm, teleport coming in from Sam as well, who now has shockwave available and does land 2 on the shockwave. He takes a lot of damage, but manages to survive, forcing the flash out of the Syndra Reaper off to the side, but in a little bit of trouble because Squalp is on top of him and he's sped up from the Orianna. They are going to be able to take out Reaper as well, and now Weird Room is the next target. If they are able to close out a kill, it could mean the game, so because Phil is flying in, he is so fast. And they will clean up the last member of Ohio Northern. So if this game is only going to be about 20 minutes long, they're on the Nexus turrets.
Less than 20 minutes, Johnny, and it's an ace for Brooklyn College. They have taken out the Nexus, and it looks like game. They've done it.
Wow, it was a really, really well-played game by Brooklyn College. Very impressed on what they were able to do. It goes back to what Technical Coach said, right? Is that he had to do a better job of prepping his team. They are playing better. This could be, the cleanest game that they've played all season so far. I'm going to leave that opinion up to him. But, I have to say, so this game made me think, they say that as you get older, people change, right? But it's very clear that Brooklyn College has not changed. Because I'm sure, judging by this game, they probably bullied people in high school, and they're bullying people in college now, too. Somebody get an administrator, please. Like, this is,
for sure.
That was rough.
It's I agree with you. And one thing that actually stuck with me is that how I was mentioning that Hwab was doing so good on the Nocturne. Yes, the stats don't lie. They had 75% plus kill participation. They were no deaths on the board. So
pretty good.
But at the same time, Yanni, we also saw top lane winning 1-on-1, mid lane winning 1-on-1. If there was any help needed on bot side, for sure. But you have 2 solo lanes just performing incredibly well on their own. How much else could you ask for as a jungler?
Can't ask for much more when your solo laners are getting the solo bolo kills. We'll have to see if they're allowed to have those champions again, because we are going to take a short break. And when we return, we'll get into the draft for Game 2 between Brooklyn College Maroon and Ohio Northern University. We'll see you soon. Yippee! It's us. Welcome back, everybody, to ECAC Super Elite Week 3. We are in between games right now as game one was complete domination by Brooklyn College Maroon. Yanni and Sofjan still giving you all of the action. So what do you ban on the side of Ohio Northern, right? Because there are a lot of bans you're going to need. You're going to pull out a page out of Shibby's book with the trauma bans in a second, right?
Yeah, a lot of trauma. Yeah, I agree. I would say, coming from what we know usually in pro play, I would take out the Ode, I would take out the Nocturne. It has been like on every ban list for CB LOL, so I would say that makes more sense than getting out the Oriana. I would say it makes more sense than, I think, some of the targeted bans, maybe. You know, if we have, especially as a coach, if we have a fear of one of the players playing one of the champions they are most comfortable with, we have to respect that. Don't exactly remember which ones it was. I think it was the Shake, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. And we'll see. We'll see how we will go, because we only have 5 bans for each side.
Yeah, and everybody's like, oh, 3 bans was enough. Well, 3 bans was never enough, let's be honest. But even people are starting to say that 5 bans is not as good as it used to be. So
I mean, so many champions.
Yeah, there are really a lot of champions. It is it is a little rough. So one interesting thing to note is that buffing is going to be in for Princeton on the side of Brooklyn College. And remember, if you recall, Princeton, a lot of games on Rakan, had a nice game on Rakan here. It wasn't his best, but it was still a solid game. There's one champion that you might not need to worry about if you are Ohio Northern this time around, as we are into picks and bans. So what are you expecting to see off the board? Shaco is already gone.
Yeah, gone. I would say the Shaco would continue, because if you took the Shaco out in the first run, you would do it again if you're just that terrified of the champion. It makes sense. It's fine. I respect it. But I would say next it would have to be Udyr and Nocturne. I think they were so impressively good. I think the Oriana was incredible in the hands of Sam too. You can counter the Oriana. There are ways to counter the Oriana. But all in all, maybe something that is a little more aggressive in the early game. There it is, the Nocturne. But maybe something a little more aggressive in the early game than the Maokai can be for Sherry could be a good choice against Hop. We'll see.
Yeah, I like that Rel was played prior by Cherry in a prior match, because I'm a really big fan of Rel, and obviously Rel isn't going to be as good very soon, but I just love the speed that Rel takes grubs because of how
so
the shielding gets broken. Yeah, and I'm really sad that's going to be gone, but that's actually something I would have liked to see Cherry on, because while the engagement is not as good, I think we can all agree that Rel's engaging is a little bit more limited than Maokai's. It does allow you to at least play aggressive, and if you draft some aggressive lanes, you'd be like, hey, listen, this time we are taking the idiots up in the top lane. We are taking Dumb and Dumber, or, obviously Ed, and Eddie, my favorite. The Three Stooges as well is a good one. But back to the draft here. A couple similar bans. Akali is still gone. Jarvan's still gone. Brooklyn College keeping it the same. The only adjustment was that Lilia is available now. That one was banned away by Ohio Northern last time. And the Xayah first pick means that, they're kind of saying, hey, Brooklyn, give Rakan to your backup support, or we're going to take him ourselves.
Yeah, and well, we saw how great it was for Princeton. As you said, solid. It wasn't extraordinary or anything. But now we don't have Princeton. We don't know exactly how this sub is going to perform on the Rakan. So for the side of Brooklyn, they're like, I think we can just take something else. Going for the Ezreal is so safe, especially because if you want to try to do a different composition, you had the Thresh and the Caitlyn. They weren't on top of their lane in the early game, so if you want to switch it up, makes sense. So having the Ezreal, you have so much escape. You guarantee that your lane is going to be a very nice scale throughout it. And Brooklyn, again, now Sam on the Oriana. Creature on the Syndra, nothing to change there. So the biggest differential would be, how do Hwop and Cherry decide to play this game? And again, yes, Amumu can have more pressure, especially because nowadays it's 2 bandages instead of just 1. You don't have to rely on that Curse of the Sad Mummy only on the level 6 to have the most. So this is a little more early pressure for Ohio Northern.
Yeah, I like what Brooklyn's putting together, by the way. It's just a disgusting
Mm-hmm.
team composition. And guess
Oh
what?
yeah.
They get to ban Rakan if they want, right? So if they don't want to let Tango have Rakan, now you're playing Zaya with a bit of a weaker duo. Meanwhile, you've got Ezreal Karma. With Karma, even after catching some nerfs, even after our items were catching a little bit of nerfs, still
Yeah.
disgustingly strong. Ezreal is just still crazy strong after getting some buffs. And then, of course, this mid lane again, where, I mean, if Sam won it in game one, I mean, the salty run back coming through here from Cherry is like, not Cherry, I'm sorry, Creature, I should say, is, I gotta say, I like it. I think it's bold, but I gotta see you get some revenge kills.
Me too, me too. And that's why I said I think he relies more on Cherry than he does on Creature. It would be a case of, okay, we know that Sam can be incredibly aggressive and they know the boundaries of that champion. So all those fine lines of the maximum hit range, all of the maximum damage, all of the tiny bits of details on auto attack damage, Sam knows. So you just have, as Creature, you just have to be a little more safe on how you play it, how you control the wave, so you can allow Creature to have nice engage options. But now Ohio, just to wrap it all up, they went for the Gwen plus Udyr as their last bans in Brooklyn, taking out the Gangplank that was on the hands of Windrum, and the Aatrox as well, that was also banned last game.
I think that Gwen ban is a little curious from the side of Ohio Northern because Phil really enjoys playing Malphite, so if you're going to ban away Udyr and taking a look at the team that they have, I think Malphite just slots in real nice. Ohio Northern is heavily set on magic damage, so the extra armor that Malphite gets not really going to help him too much there. But I mean, if you get a Malphite ultimate, you can get it onto Syndra, onto Zaya at times, and on to a champion like Seraphine because they're low mobility, right? And if you just come flying through, you slam on top of all three of them. Fight's pretty much over, isn't it? So I'm interested to see if that's what they go to. See that hover even into an R. I don't think you really care.
No, you do not. You do not, because although Ohio Northern, because of they get the Seraphine now, they have a very nice steady composition for teamfight. They have the going in, Mega Nod, slams into the wall, Curse of the Sad Mummies, Scatter of the Weak, Encore, everything Featherstorm. It can connect, yes. But then on the side of Brooklyn, we know how they can be oppressive, that could be denying all the bits and bobs and CS and early gold leads that Ohio Northern could have, especially because they're running the Zinzao. Like, oh yeah, the Knight heavily relies on getting that level 6 for the Paranoia, but the Zinzao, it does damage from early on. You can just do trays on level 3 and you're fine.
Yeah, and just give myself a little real-time scouting on buffing. Dude's pretty good. Dude is a pretty good multi-season challenger player and has played a lot of Karma this season. And
okay.
I got a feeling that is a pretty good Karma for the side of Brooklyn College. No surprise, that's why they'd go to pick him up. Yeah, you've got the good news is on the other side, right? You've got some poke in the form of Seraphine and also the shielding. Very similar champions, but it feels like Karma's shielding obviously feels a little bit more impactful than Seraphine's.
Yeah.
Seraphine's got the heal attached to hers, though. So, for laning purposes, I expect it to be maybe a bit of a snooze fest unless somebody lands that heavy poke. These 80 carries got to have their dancing shoes on.
Yeah, you're so right. And one thing you mentioned there, so great for BC, of course, that they chose somebody very talented on the Karma to come in and sub for them. But real talk. You need to be extremely capable on Karma to make her work well right now.
Yes. All right.
No.
Yeah. No.
She's still powerful enough that if you are not as great on or not as experienced on the champion, that she's still going to do great because all the things are there at your fingertips. If you are extremely capable, then you take it to the next level. But the champion's still like easy to play.
Counterpoint. My solo queue win rate.
Okay, maybe
it's
you
not
stop
that bad.
At that.
It's not that
Don't
bad.
Share. Okay.
I'm like 2 and 2. I'm like 2 and 2 or 2 and 1 or something like that. I haven't played a whole lot. Come on. But there's my counterpoint.
How did you make a full drama out of it for 2 and 2?
Listen, you're saying that like, oh, anybody can be good at Karma, right? And now you don't even know what my Karma win rate is. You're just slandering me on live stream right now. Oh, I'm hurt.
I mean, you're the one who decided to expose us.
Thought we were friends.
Oh man. Okay, how about this? That could be your ADC to your Karma. How
Okay,
about that?
well, I'll play Karma mid lane, so it's my own
Oh.
darn fault that I'm losing out on games. But when you get a nice last roundup of this composition, one thing we didn't talk about is that ONU, they have like the perfect stew if they can get all the ingredients together, right? The Seraphine ultimate, the Amumu ultimate, and the Gnar ultimate on top of it. If they can get that together, I mean, you can blow away any team composition, right?
Right? One thing that it's very clear as well is how the Xin Zhao choice is not just great because it's early game, as we get, of course, into Summoner's Rift, ONU on the blue side now and BC on the red, is Yanni, that Xin Zhao is not only going to be super effective because of its damage, when you do your ulti, you just get Cherry away, right? You get them away from you, get the Mega Gnar away from you. So you have great tools, especially with the amount of movement speed you're going to have on team fights because of buffing on Akama, that things can be just very well done. And considering how they played last game, I think they're going to be fine.
Yeah, the one interesting thing now that you're talking about the junglers is that Whelp really, really good. As you can see, Reaper going to take a little bit of damage, but Whelp into Cherry, these champion combinations, it's very, very good for Xin Zhao early if ONU's lanes are not able to respond. But the good news is on the top side, Gnar should be able to get first move. It's really up to Creature to ensure that he can get first move in this lane against Sam. But once you get these Mercury treads, I assume that that's what Xin Zhao is going to pick up. I mean, they're not going to be able to do any damage to you. You can just walk around with Orianna the entire time and like bully your way to objectives.
Right, and not just that, you have Widrum that can, for the side of ONU, you have Widrum that can guarantee that pressure, as you said, because of being ranged, and how the Malphite will need to grow, get that unstoppable force, yada yada yada. Cherry gets more place to help out Creature, which I think is essential in this one, because last game, them, as to be fair, that's what they're doing right now as well. But things could go differently for ONU because of the composition going around a Syndra.
Speaking of bullying, you can already see the Ezreal Karma lane doing what it's supposed to do. Just landing some skill shots on the bottom side. I was curious to see who was going to get the better end of it, but I figured it was going to be Karma Ezreal. I mean, there's a reason why this lane is heavily picked in various different leagues.
Yeah, and it works out amazingly well, especially because differently from a couple of supports that go for poke, because you have your Q on the Karma that if it does land on the minions, of course not the best of choices, it still splashes out. So it's just so very nice to get those poke. And now Widrum, as we thought, going to get a good control here on the wave, already on double the farm, going to crash the wave, as now both junglers are actually on the same side of the map. Oh, but they're engaging.
Yeah, Phil in a little bit of trouble. Is forced to flash away, as you said. Widrum going to try to chase him down, but Phil recognizing, hey, if you're going to dive me. Oh, he lived!
No way, the tower!
Lived! Oh, he's so good. Phil is insane. Whelp just 1v1ing the Amumu, and it is all Brooklyn College right now, so...
I cannot believe, Yanni, the fact that the auto attack was a little bit slower than the tower shot. I don't think I've seen that in a while. And because of it, it's not just the top lane. We had as well that kill that the Whelps got. They got so much pressure going there, stealing, if I'm not mistaken. Was it the red buff? I'm not sure if they did steal the red buff on that one, but they were all over the jungle. They have vision on it.
Yep.
And again, the mid lane is super controlled for Sam too.
Yeah, he's got a refresh red buff. Yeah, he got it. And meanwhile, in the bottom lane, surprisingly, the side of the Seraphine and the Xayah get a kill first, and they do manage to live to tell the tale.
Oh, I wish we could have seen that, but looking at Cherry again, they ditch.
Yeah, Phil, again, no flash, right? So the second bandage will go pretty hard here, but it misses. God. Phil, I've never seen a rock move so fast in my life.
Oh, that's a fancy feat you asked for, Yanni. I wasn't expecting it to come from one of the biggest hitboxes on BC, but there you go. They managed to get it, and Sam canceling out the reset for Creature. It's very important to guarantee that the minions are going to be or decided to get wasted or an engage coming soon. Although Creature is one level ahead.
Creature and Sam going at it for a little bit, but everything's okay. So I got a question. They got SpongeBob in Brazil?
Yes, one of my favorites.
Okay. So remember the episode where they're doing the snail races and the Rock wins? That's Phil.
Yeah,
That's Phil.
Yeah. Oh my word. You're so right. It was Patrick's, right?
Yes. He said, you go when you
Patrick
feel
Rock.
like it, and Phil said, rock solid.
Yeah, I'll stay here. Nobody's taking me out of here. Oh my god. Now Phil's slapping them down. What is
The Rock
this?
is winning. Rocky, you go whenever you feel like it. Weirdrum trying to put some space between them, but Cherry is here and does land the long-range bandage toss, and Weirdrum does survive a miscue there, but Wallop and Sam trying to get on the Creature, but when it becomes lightning, not going to land.
Yeah, nice dodge that by
We cursed
Creature.
him. We cursed him.
Yeah, we did. We did. As now Hulp is actually trying to find an angle to at least get some vision or try to check where Cherry is going to go, but they're in the fog of war.
Yeah, the only problem is everybody's going to be able to collapse on him, but Creature is still fighting in the mid lane. Meanwhile, Weirdrum is
How
here
are they missing this?
to force off Wallop, and there's a lot of fighting going on everywhere, but once again, Seraphine and Zaya getting the job done. Wallop caught completely by 3 members, and now Ohio Northern is starting to pull the game in their control.
Oh yeah, and even the Seraphine on Tango is dealing a lot of damage on the Q already. ONU have control over the first Void Grubs, which was the biggest of leads that BC had. And not only, they were rotating super well because we saw it was Creature, it was Cherry, Widram going for Whelp, while Whelp was, as you said, just basically flanked and surrounded all around. And made a poor choice. Now ONU recognized it and punished, which is the best that they can do at this moment, considering that, of course, Zinzao has a little bit of a lead in the early game.
Yeah, and Creature's done a pretty good job in the mid lane here because Sam wasn't able to head up. But Phil gonna come in, spot it out on a ward though, which means Creature is able to walk out. So good stuff from the mid laner of Ohio Northern after what was a rough first game. But Whelp, with the response here on the bot lane, thought he had the crab, but he will be able to take it out now and send his attention to the dragon.
Yeah, now it's BC. One thing that we mentioned from ONU is that when BC got their first, those Void Grubs in the previous wasn't a trade from ONU. But this time around, ONU got the Void Grubs and BC rotated. Now going for another fight, maybe, or just poking around to like the bot lane.
And good news when it comes to the grubs for the side of Ohio Northern is that Gnar does make pretty good use of them, especially in this matchup in the Malphite. You're a mini Gnar, you can just kind of walk up to the turret, get a couple of hits in, spawn a couple of grubs once you get more, if you get more. So you get a nice amount of value there. The problem is, you know, while Reaper and Tango are doing well, they're not really going to see the benefits of that until the mid game.
Yeah, because you needed at least those 2 items on both Reaper and Tango, on Zaya and Seraphine to finally see those results, as you said. And Whelp again, as they should, to be fair, punishing the fact that the Zinzao can't have presence in the enemy jungle on top of an Amumu. Now Creature, noticing there was something going around, could be finding Whelp in the jungle.
Yeah, Wind Becomes Lightning doesn't land, so Whelp doesn't get a whole lot of damage, but yeah, Cherry called for the help. And, you know, they come over, and the case of the missing Raptors, Whelp already took them.
Yeah, it's already gone. VC's got it. And I find it actually very interesting that Ming was aggressive with a blink forward, and they don't have vision on Cherry on this strike bush.
Yeah, they don't have flashes either, so Cherry coming in at level 6 could be able to make things happen. We'll see if he is able to get the prediction on the bandage toss right. He's just going to walk up to Ming and just drop an ultimate right on him. He does shift away, but the second bandage toss lands, and Cherry gets kill in his pocket.
Oh, that feels amazing for Cherry after missing a couple of those bandages in the top side. Now securing it on the bottom is definitely what they want to see. Sam looking to get something. They have flash, and they could go in. There's no shockwave, probably just used, hence why Creature is so low on health. Oh, True Shot Barrage is not going to land.
Just a bit outside. Good stuff by Sam there. Gets control of the lane once again. They've kind of gone a little back and forth this game, but has a solid CS lead. Creature doesn't have teleport. You know, you're going to get the second wave shoved in. It's a very big win there for Sam. Meanwhile, Whalp in the top lane as Weirdrum has already gone to go in. Does use the ultimate and hop away, so he will be just fine. And in the bottom lane, Reaper gets yet another kill, living up to their namesake.
Alrighty. Looking good for the Xayah, especially because we saw them doing well last game with how they controlled the lane with the Rakan, but now not having the Rakan and still doing well. Ming, you were a little bit bold here.
Yeah, you know, Ming has a CS lead and realizes, hey, you know what? I think I'm at a good advantage. And, you know, it does have the Sheen power spike as well, which I think puts him on pretty even footing with Reaper right now. Yet to be seen until he backs, though.
Yeah, good freeze as well to guarantee they don't miss any of those minions. Cut of the week goes wide in the mid lane, try to reach for Sam. All that W hits and now it's starting to get some damage down. But on the top side, we actually see Phil trying to get a rotation, and even Buffing is going for a gank in the mid lane.
Yeah, I like this attempt, but it's just not much that Brooklyn College is able to put together right now, and their team composition is so good when it comes to skirmishes, and they just haven't done it yet. But the good news is they are looking out here. Sam does have a shockwave available, and they're walking into no vision. Weirdrum is now Mininar, so it could be time to fight as they are going to engage on Mininar. He's going to hop over the wall, but it's going to be a 5v3. Sam, big shockwave that's going to land on 2 as Phil flew in as well. They are able to get 1 kill. It's a 4v4 right now. Ezreal is on his way up as they want to fight for these grubs. Buffing a little low. Sam gets rooted, so he's going to be the next target. The flash forced out from Tango. Scout of the week to try and disengage, but Brooklyn College, they do have the numbers advantage. It looks like we'll just see backs happen, though. No objective.
I agree with you. It's not only because of the difference in numbers, we also have Brooklyn College with very low HP. So even ONU could start this one as Cherry has just respawned and joined the party.
Yeah, he's got full HP now too. He doesn't have his ultimate available. We are seeing a back come out from Sam, but Sam does have teleport available. Here comes Phil from the top side as well, and here comes the teleport from behind. They're going to engage onto Phil. Meanwhile, on the side, Creature is able to take out Buffing. Phil in a lot of trouble. The Creature goes down. Sam going to target Tango with the next one. It's a double kill for Orianna, but they do manage to take out the Malphite. Now a 3v2. Sam not with the rest of the team. Ming has to try to run away. Whalp is going to back in enemy territory. Ming flashes over the wall, gets rooted, burns the cleanse, and dies anyway.
Oh, that was a panic response, unfortunately. That Windrum trying to chase out for Sam. Gets that hop, but they don't continue the pursuit. Now ONU takes, if I'm not mistaken, that would be the 4th, because I think BC
that is their 5th.
2 of them? The 5th. So the ONU took 2 in this pit.
Yes. ONU got 2 out of 3, which means they spawn extra buddies. They got some Twitch chatters on their side whenever they go and hit turrets.
Very important for them to guarantee those as well, right?
Oh, for sure. But good news for Brooklyn College is they're able to kind of equalize the gold a little bit. It's really not that bad. Orianna, very strong right now. 2-0-1. You land a good shockwave in another fight, could be bad news.
Yeah, and on the other end, you have Reaper on 2-0-4, completing that Kraken Slayer already on 150 gold bounty. Wow, dear Cherry, with those bandages getting spot-on kills, 4-2-1, but still falling behind as we would expect from a Zinzao on CS, so around 24. I believe that's what BC can do at the moment. They're trying to keep up their CS, the gold in regards to wave control on other lanes. Oh.
Yeah, Ezreal gonna go a little wide on Tango, but the damage onto Reaper and Tango is so much. They do a lot. Reaper's got to burn the ultimate, so does Tango. Shift Q forward. Big pickup there for Ming. Oh wait, Ming's dead. Ming is dead. God. What's that item called again? I can't remember. It's the thing that does the extra damage. That magic damage dealing supports has Zazak or whatever. Zazak slowed him up and did a bunch of damage. Now the teleport is going to get expended here. I mean, Tango's just going to walk it into the turret. Phil is showing up to the party that's already over.
Yeah. And they tried to get an execute, but it was still a kill for Buffing. A very confused rotation, I would say, from BC. On the top side, we know that Phil was still just doing well against the Nod. The Nod doesn't have enough damage to take them down. So maybe, I don't know, they just wanted a different fresh air, I guess. Going out for the bottom lane as now ONU has full control over the Herald. Now Phil walking back to lane while ONU has pushed that very far in. BC, meanwhile, take their second pick of the game.
Phil has spotted out that this Rift Herald is being done, so he decides, hey, you know what? I want to pull the trigger potentially. Cherry is going to be able to pick up the Rift Herald. Sam and Whop on the way. Phil has ultimate available if he wants to use it. With Scatter the Weak on the side by Creature means that he should be able to get out, but Phil wants to really get in range. Can't. Yeah, so they get away with it.
I think that's something that has been happening very frequently for BC at the moment, Yanni. Just not getting in range. And that is happening quite a bit in the bot side with Ming being very aggressive, going in, especially into tower range. Oh my god. And into snares as well. And getting those golden items extra. Oh,
Sam?
mid lane.
Sam! Oh, he lives 25 HP.
No way.
Just, you know, leaking a bunch of oil, but the robot will stay upright.
Yeah, still at least one screw left on their head. Oh, goodness. That was so close, Yanni. To be fair, I thought it was going to take it down. But one thing's for sure, ONU is better. Syndra getting stacks in, getting that execute sooner rather than later for this mid-late game. Now Ming, again, taking so much pressure from now Reaper and Tango.
Reaper's going to get rooted up and is taking a lot of damage, but Ming isn't quite there yet. Just clear out the ward while Buffing does the rest of the dirty work here to keep Tango and Reaper off. You can see that Buffing is starting to do some serious damage.
I'm impressed that actually on the top side, Phil got to take so much on that tier 1, but looking at bottom.
Oh yeah, there was an engage on the bottom lane as there's engage on the top side. Charms going out, damage is there, Buffing is dead, and unable to trade back. Reaper, good ultimate, make sure that they're able to survive.
And finally for Widram, especially with that Trinity finished, they are now finally doing some damage on the Malphite. The rock is not lit as they would have wanted. And ONU spawning the Herald on the bot side, trying to get a drift going on. And they should be able to take this down, especially with those extra Grubbingtons. And Ming has to stay safe. At least this is a place now where BC could have more space to farm. Because although they are ahead, that was so much pressure. Oh, top lane.
Good counter there. Unable to get the Narbar all the way up. Big kill. Turret could go down as well. But I got a bone to pick with you. Use their government name. You call them Grubbingtons? Can't believe you.
I mean, I'm
Use
just...
their proper name of Twitch chat. Come on.
I mean... I think she's respectful sometimes. Especially when they take down a turret. I think they deserve it, Sir Grubbingtons.
Oh, now they're knighted?
Yes.
Okay. You know what? I can live with that. I can agree.
Yeah, I think that's good.
Yeah, pretty good. Pretty good for Brooklyn College here, as they now have a gold lead of about 1,000. They have quietly turned it on after, you know, having a bit of a rough early game. You know, they were like, oh, we're down a little bit in gold, but you know what? It's no big deal. They've got good scaling on their side. Teleport coming in from the Gnar does not have any rage, so we'll start to stack that up onto Buffing, but is on the wrong side of the tracks, forced to flash away, looking to regroup with the rest of the team, but he takes a whole lot of damage. Phil is here, no ultimate available, but he will try to chase down the Gnar. Meanwhile, they're able to get a kill. Sam on a killing spree. Solo Shockwave onto Reaper, takes him to about half. Whop is on top of him. With the team coming from the side, they're able to take out the Reaper, and Tango is going to be targeted after Cherry gets popped. He dropped the ultimate, but not too much you can do. And Brooklyn College just getting it done in team fight.
I would say that was a peculiar rotation from ONU as well, because yes, there was a moment where you could see a space to get a flank. Yeah, but then you're still 1.5 minutes from the Drake. Is it worth it to try and do it now? Now Buffing going into the back line, trying to get that pressure for a dive, because Phil is looking for it.
Yeah, Weirdrum is going to be Mega Gnar, but he doesn't really have any follow-up. Creature does have teleport if there's something that they could try, but it seemed like it would be ill-advised.
And to be fair, I think that's what I felt about the TP with no rage coming from Widram there in the bot side. I don't think that would go anywhere good. They had to waste their flash. And then when Sam found themselves in a good spot to try and do damage on the carries, they did. So it was just ONU putting themselves in kind of between a rock and a hard place. So BC took an opportunity of it and guaranteed that not just they could push in the waves, get pressure here in the mid lane, get vision most essentially there close to the red buff, and then just maybe uncontested, we'll see if Cherry goes for it, take the third Drake of the game.
It's going to be pretty rough for Ohio Northern. They are just going to let this Drake go. It will be soul point for Brooklyn College. Unless Cherry does want to get in there, he's going to try to target buffing. Phil goes over the wall with the ultimate, but doesn't quite get it to land. Cherry still could go in, but will be secured. Teleport coming in for Creature, which means will be in a bit of a bad spot, but his tanky teammates are there to make sure he stays alive. A Sam teleport coming in as well, which means Brooklyn College, they want to do something here, but Ohio Northern are able to retreat to their turret.
Yeah, Ohio tried to get an angle. I appreciate that, not going full in, because it's what they did in the previous fight. Because it didn't go well, you try another alternative. I appreciate it, but still, having to give away the soul point feels super bad. Now BC not just accumulating Mountain, Cloud, and Infernal, dealing some damage here on the Baron, but it's most definitely going to be a bait, right? You shouldn't commit.
Oh yeah. Cherry is like, hey, they're taking my blue buff, but they're actually right in front of you. The Blast Band pulls Cherry to the side. Good layering of the ultimates, but do they have enough? Another solo Shockwave. It's able to be a 1-for-1 for right now, making it 2-for-1 after they pick up another member on the side of Ohio Northern. A 2-for-1. Sam from the side could be able to land some damage onto Reaper. Maybe they'll choose Tango, and Tango is cut off. Tango desperately trying to run away, but he is not doing the Tango. He is doing the death. We're going to split push here. The ping's going onto the Baron. Means that Brooklyn College, they don't care if they lose this turret.
Yeah, and that team fight, to be fair, was looking so good for ONU, especially with that Curse of the Sad Mummy. If I'm not mistaken, hitting maybe even 4 players for BC. So it could have been super good. There was at least one player that got taken down. Yes, ONU, maybe you can do it. And then finally, they didn't really have the damage. And when BC can turn it around and laid out those abilities, especially with Ming being so confident on this Ezreal, like having the blinks forward and flash forward. I mean, they know what they want to do, and it's to deal damage, especially with that second item completed as well. So Windrum, as you said, trying to do what they can, clearing out that bot lane, taking down tier 2. Now Fu is looking to maybe scare out the little Na, because all of the space on ONU had been conquered by BC. Now ONU getting it back.
Yeah, BC might be taking it back very shortly. Wearing purple right now for quite some time. And with the Dragon not up for 2.5 more minutes, it feels like they will make good usage of their Baron, get further and further ahead, claim soul, and maybe win the game here. So that's the plan, right?
Possible. Yeah, oh, for sure. And it's exactly what we would expect, right? It's not just the correct game plan, because you're direct, you want to end the game with the advantage as you have it, especially with the extra cherry on top for the soul.
Speaking of Cherry,
but as well,
Cherry's like caught out here. They do land a double stun onto Sam. Sam forced to flash, but because of the Sad Mummy, just gonna get him. But the shielding is just too much. Cherry's like, I thought we had him. What happened? Cherry gets engaged on and goes down. Now Creature's gonna be the next target, forced to flash away. Ezreal coming through, not gonna land, but Turret doing a little bit of work to buffing, who is double shielded up. Creature very, very low. We'll see if they finish the engage, and Whelp is going to dive super deep. Uses the ultimate to push Reaper, who's got to use their ultimate to stay alive. Sam died to the turret, but I don't think it's going to matter. Reaper is going to go down as they get dove on the inhibitor turret. Big shielding here. Whelp is going to tank it up, but Tango goes down anyway. Whelp will die for it, but does find a triple kill for themselves. Ends up being a 4-for-3. Not as clean as I thought out of Brooklyn College.
You're very right. I thought it was going to be much cleaner, especially after we had a disgusting exhibition of shield, so protect on Orianna, then shield from buffing, and Seraph's Embrace. Like, hello? You are so right. Having Cherry go in, you're like, yeah, Orianna's dead, right? Right? And then just isn't. And with less than 1 minute to go for ONU to try and to deny the soul from BC. Well, as I said, they would try to conquer back what they have in that jungle. On the top side, they have some vision. They have some detection wards. good. Now looking at Widram, going for the plants, going for the vision themselves, gets a nice dodge with the blast cone. But you can't engage here, can you?
He's gonna get rooted. Sam is here. Sam, we know, it's quite a bit of damage, but whiffs on the shockwave. Widram able to just walk it out, and that is a big cooldown missing.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's not great, but Phil wants to go for a fight. They have unstoppable force. No, in a couple of seconds, actually.
They're going to engage onto Phil here, chunk him out just a little bit, but members are cut off over the wall. Chris the Sad Mummy going down, but Cherry is left all alone and goes down. Weirdrum about a Mega Gnar, but a big double knockup coming through. Creature's in trouble. Weirdrum trying to get some space between them, but it was all Ezreal. A triple kill for Ming. Whelp will take out the Gnar, and left standing is Reaper, and they can only watch as the soul will be secured for Brooklyn College, more than likely the game.
Yeah, it could be a quick and swift 2-0. First game on 20 minutes, second on 26 most likely. They still got that big pressure here in the mid lane because of 3 players. It was just enough with Whelp and Ming to take down their soul. Now they really just ripped open the base on the side of ONU, and what they tried to conquer back on that territory is just completely down. No vision, all fog of war, everything in darkness. And with BC having that much pressure and how they have been executing fights, it didn't even matter that Sam didn't have a shockwave. They still won the fight.
Yeah, and that's got to be pretty rough, you know, looking and being like, oh, well, or, you know, Shockwave, guys, we've got this, and no, we don't got this. I suppose the good news for Ohio Northern is that they didn't lose on that push, which means they have at least one more chance. Maybe they're able to stall to Elder and flip it, as Phil is in a lot of trouble here. I'm trying to chase him down, but those cinders give you so much movement speed. That upset me, actually.
That was so lucky. It was incredibly lucky by Phil. How could you predict that would be 2 cinders there to get you that extra movement speed? Because if it was 1 cinder, I think that boulder could have killed the other boulder, the playable boulder. And when you had at least something to play around with numbers advantage. Now, there's less than 1 minute for Baron to spawn, Yanni. All of BC all over ONU's jungle. They don't even get the space to leave their base. They're trying to find an angle, but BC, they have all it takes to finish this.
Our Observer smurfing with the vision toggle. Really, really like that. Meanwhile, on the side, Weirdrum in a lot of trouble. This Ezreal just does way too much. They're able to take him out, make it a 5v4. Cherry has to flash over the wall, but is still burning alive. Will be able to survive for right now, but has to retreat back to the base as the entirety of Brooklyn College is just infesting, and Creature is completely cut off from the rest of the team. Is going to go golden, but will assuredly be taken out. Sam picking up another kill means it's a 5v3. They're not going to even get a chance for a 5v5, so top lane inhibitor down as Brooklyn College are looking to put the boot on the throat. Big double charm coming out, but knocks him away. This is really bad news. Cherry is low. 3-man knockup to finish it off. Phil dusting his hands off, saying job well done, as Brooklyn College Maroon take a 2-0 victory over Ohio Northern University.
And way to wrap it up, Yanni. Brooklyn College Maroon, not just with a 2-0 sweep, but guaranteeing a win on top of a finely executed Unstoppable Force and Shockwave combo. Oh, chef's kiss.
Hey, you know what? It was pretty good. It wasn't looking that good early for Brooklyn College. I feel like I was ready after game 1 to be like, yep, this team's hitting the ground running, well-oiled machine. Again, you know, much like the Oriana, was leaking oil for multiple points in that game. And I thought Ohio Northern may have been able to push it to a game 3, but they finally righted the ship. They got it together. Ohio Northern they had a couple of really good fights with Seraphine and with Amumu ultimates. Just not enough of them, and then never a follow-up with Nara or anything like that.
Yes. Oh my god, just spot on, because I was going to mention, yes, the engages were there, but not enough damage, because yes, you're not going to expect the damage coming from the Seraphine. She was not an APC, she was a regular support. And then the Syndra as well, because of not having that execute most of the times, leaving people with just very little health, but them always escaping, and the Na felt a little disconnected most of the times. going in with no rage, trying to get a flank where they were actually themselves. So it felt like it wasn't truly gelling with the rest of the team. And though there was a composition that could be well executed, and for the most part, it was because of the engages you mentioned, you couldn't just finish off the kills.
Yeah, the shielding was too good, and the damage was pretty good as well. As this Karma did 20k damage, most damage in the game. So big shout out to Buffing stepping in on
Insane.
short notice. We are going to take a very short break because we do have an interview with Tentacle Coach, the coach of Brooklyn College Maroon. So we'll take a moment to set that up, and when we return, we will have the coach of the winning team. We will see you very soon. Welcome back, everybody. We're at the interview phase of this evening. We have Brooklyn College Maroons head coach, Tentacle Coach, the Allow Eat One Trick themselves, ready for us. Tentacle Coach, how we doing? Things good? Everything good?
Are good, I'll say. Game 2 got off to a little bit of a rocky start, but otherwise we're really happy with the win tonight, of course. ONU, a very respectable team up here in Super Elite with us, and taking home 2 wins in a row. Starting to feel like we're figuring out what we need to be doing.
Nice. So a couple weeks ago, as you know, good Twitter follow, I must say that you are. You talked about not setting your team up for success with winter programming and things like that. Talk me through that. How do you feel that you at the time would say failed them, and what you have done since then to right the ship?
Yeah, I mean, we started off the season playing Pace, right? Who's a
Mhm.
team in NECC we 3-0'd for finals to win the
Pretty good.
conference championship. Now, I think we got a little lazy in the off season. I gave them, an extra week or two off where I wasn't really getting on them doing director stuff. And it really, at the end of the day, boiled down to, us not having the scrim culture that we needed ahead of time, us not having the right, opponents preparing for the season. And, Pacer, a really good team, not to, diminish their win at all, but we played really poorly that series. And it kind of showed that, we came in asleep. Maybe we're a little hyped on some teams that we had beaten over this, over the winter that maybe weren't as strong as we thought. And it was just clear Pace was putting in the work. So when it got into that late game, decision making, we make one mistake and they punished us for it and won. Since then, back to fundamentals, working on the communication, making sure that's super clean and crisp, especially in the mid to late game where we were making those mistakes, and really reworking our scrim culture, spending more time in VOD review, spending more time with each individual player, going over what they need to do. And I think tonight and last week, it's showing that they're starting to improve. They're starting to get back to form, and we can start, even pushing ourselves to a higher echelon of play.
So I'd like to ask you, going a little bit away from the mid to late game you said you guys worked on, I want to talk a little bit about the early game, especially when we had the Udyr for Phil in the top side, not getting that first blood and then being like, nope, this is mine. And I think what I want to ask is how you guys have been working on it, because it really feels like not just the team as a cohesion, but also every player in that solo lane, Phil and Sam, just are so comfortable in their own as well.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Listen, I joke. I've been working with Phil for almost 2 years now. I try to get him to stop fighting. It's impossible. He's got too much Brooklyn in him. I mean, all of our players are very talented. Especially on these matchups. And I mean, Phil, he's been working the Udyr for us all semester, but he did put some dedicated time in coming into this series. Felt really comfortable on it. And I think that showed. I think, he was doing a little bit of limit testing. Level 1, knew the Maokai or the jungle was coming, and said, hey, you know what? It's fine if I just give GP the gold. I don't want, the impact to come otherwise, because I'll win the 1v2 right after. But no, I mean, we've been working with all of our players to get them on stuff that's comfortable. Still expanding those champ pools, which we didn't showcase as much in this series. But we've been working on it really, really quite intensely. And Phil has gotten to play a lot more stuff, though we did see the Malphite again, his R5 Malphite pick. But at the end of the day, these players, they're working really hard. And we've got some early game stuff to clean up. We do, very honestly, we do a lot of fighting, some ego trades instead of playing around timers and maybe, paying attention to where our jungler's at and ready to gank. But otherwise, again, the team's been doing really well. They're excelling. They're cleaning up the early game, and our mid to late game is where we really take over and sort of just, start steamrolling people. And that was, again, what we needed to get back to, first and foremost, which I think we did tonight.
Yeah, speaking on Phil for a second, that was a very good time for an R5 Malphite, I must say, with the rest of the team that you had. I want to talk a little bit about your C-Law matches. A team is undefeated in your C-Law Group B right now, 2-0, 4-0 in games. There's a couple of pretty good teams in here, and it is a very, very long season. Don't want to try to have you look ahead or anything like that, but with Pace and University of Delaware also undefeated, do you think you're going to come out of your group as number one? I would assume that you guys are going to at least come out into the playoffs. How difficult of a road is it going to be to make it to the C-Law Championship? Because once you make it to playoffs, it's only the top team that gets out.
Yeah, needing to be that number one team is really important. And I'll be honest, I strongly believe that looking at the strength of competition in both groups, Illinois Wesleyan's a really strong team on the other side. We respect them a lot. But very bluntly, we beat all these teams last semester. And it's on us to get back to that form. We beat University of Delaware in playoffs. We've beaten Pace a couple times. They got the better of us last time. But when we're playing our style, when we're playing clean, and when the communications are clean, I think we're the team to beat in ECAC for CELOL right now. It's going to be very hard pressed for those teams to take it to us as long as we continue ramping up the work that we're doing. I have my utmost faith in my guys to do that. Again, they've been putting in the work on their own, playing a lot of solo queue, doing VOD review on their own on top of what we're doing. And I think that, in a couple more weeks, obviously we have our match with Campbellsville first, who are still a very good team. They were a playoff team in ECAC last semester. We got to get through them. And then, we're right into the University of Delaware, WVU, and then Pace. So I think that we're on track for where we need to be. We learned the hard lesson early. Pace got that win off of us, and it motivated them. And, it wasn't the first time Pace has beaten us, but we've won all the matches that have mattered the most. And so that's what we're trying to do here going into the end of CELOL.
All right, and to wrap up, I wanted to ask in particular how you guys have been navigating, especially you as a coach, the going on for this game in particular, having a substitute. How are you guys working around it? How are the players gelling with each other a little bit?
Yeah, so I mean, honestly, the substitution here is entirely intentional. We have two very talented support players. Princeton, who is really a mid laner that we forced into the support role because his communication is really strong, and he has a good repertoire of champs, and he's a mid laner. He understands the macro at a very high level. So last semester I forced him to learn it, and he took off with it. He's been doing great. That being said, we just got Buffing this semester, who is a multi-season challenger player. Really got on those enchanters, and we're really starting to try to come into our own, being able to utilize either support given whichever meta is best for us, right? Depending on what team we're playing, depending on what's strong right now. And so this was Buffing's first official match with us. We've been utilizing him in scrims, but they both bring different things to the table, and we want to utilize that depending on who we're playing. And also just keep teams off balance. We don't want them to know what we're going to be doing with the bot lane. Ming can play a lot of champs as an AD carry. It doesn't look like that on his match history, but pretty much anything I put him on, he can perform. So, utilizing both supports to their strengths, whether we need, team fight comms or whether we really want to get into those, poke enchanter comps, we're comfortable. And so, having that flexibility is something I think that is going to start to set us apart even further as the semester goes along, and especially next year.
Especially how it can affect, what you want to put together as a team when it comes to being on blue side or red side. Sometimes it is, it's like, hey, slot this player right in because we can get this bot lane pairing that we want. Tentacle Coach, we want to thank you for your time this evening. Congratulations again to you and your team. Hopefully y'all have a pretty great night. I know it's a little late. Team dinner, go take them out, go do something, right? I don't know, get them Applebee's or something. I don't know if you saw the Applebee's, like $300. You can go like once a week every year. Go do that for your team or something like that. Yeah. I don't know. But.
Well, we do have a team awards dinner coming up soon. So
nice.
They've got that.
Oh, that's very
All
very
right,
cool.
congratulations.
Very happy to hear that. Once again, thank you for your time this evening. That is going to be it for us here at Esports U. And we don't have anything going on this weekend, but fear not, because we are the light in the darkness when it comes to Monday through Friday all the time. We are action-packed with any game that you could think of Monday through Friday. We got Super Smash Bros. Ultimate coming up at 8 p.m. on Monday, so you're not going to want to miss that. But again, that is it for us here. So for myself, for my co-caster Soph, for Tentacle coming in, behind the glass Colton, Leighton, and our observer Samantha Price, thank you all so much for hanging out with us here tonight. We hope to see you next time for some more Esports U action.